Hello, welcome to the Stage 38 about the Language 2 review on the perfect active subjunctive. So, the perfect active subjunctive is built on the same principal part that the perfect active indicative is built on. That is to say, the third principal part. So, find the stem by taking off that personal ending. And remember, with perfects, active or passive, conjugation doesn't matter. Just whatever that third principal part is, that'll give you the stem. And you add these endings: erim, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erint. Note that long I. And the long I is shortened by final M, T, and NT. The result of this, of the shortening in particular, is that this third person singular and third person plural look just exactly like the future perfect indicative active. All the other persons and numbers, though, look different, right? So the future perfect indicative active has ero instead of erim, and it has a short I there. So how do we use this new perfect subjunctive? Well, we actually know all the tenses of the subjunctive now. So we're going to do a little review, and we're going to do it with indirect questions, because indirect questions can use all of the different tenses of the subjunctive. So here comes a direct question first. Quem canem quaeris? Which dog are you seeking? So that's a direct question. Okay, and this is a present indicative active. So here we have an indirect question. Rogo quem canem quaeras. I am asking which dog you are seeking. So it's an indirect question now. We know that indirect questions take the subjunctive. And this has the present subjunctive. If I change the sentence, though, to begin with rogabam, the imperfect, then it comes out rogabam quem canem quaereres. This is an imperfect subjunctive. I was asking which dog you were seeking. And the difference here is that this indirect question begins with a verb in the present. This indirect question begins with a verb in a past tense. Here, the imperfect. So, if your subordinate clause expresses the same time as the main clause, if the main clause is in a present or future time, you're going to use the present subjunctive. If the main clause is in a past time, you're going to use the imperfect subjunctive. Okay, so present subjunctive, imperfect subjunctive. The only difference is this main clause is about a present time. This main clause is about a past time. So now let's look at a different direct question. Quem canem quaerebas? Which dog were you seeking? So now let's make this an indirect question after a present tense verb. I am asking which dog you sought or which dog you were seeking. Either one is fine. But this is a perfect subjunctive, and perfect subjunctive means before that main verb. Now let's put the same indirect question, but after a verb in past time. Rogabam. I was asking which dog you had sought. So now we have a pluperfect subjunctive. So we've taken this direct question after a present tense verb it's going to end up with a perfect subjunctive. After a past tense verb, it's going to end up with a pluperfect subjunctive. So here's a little chart of this. Okay, if your main verb is in a present or future tense, like row, go, if the stuff in the subordinate clause is happening at the same time or subsequent to that main verb, we're going to use a present subjunctive. If it was happening before the main verb, we're going to use a perfect subjunctive. If your main verb, though, is in a past tense, for contemporaneous or future action, we're going to use an imperfect subjunctive. For prior action, we're going to use a pluperfect subjunctive. So until Unit 4, right, all of the subordinate clauses we saw fit in this part of the chart. Like, you probably didn't notice it, but the main verbs that introduced our subordinate clauses that took the subjunctive, whether they were indirect questions or result clauses or purpose clauses or cum clauses, the main verb, the main clause was always happening in the past. Now in Unit 4, we have main clauses that are happening in the present or the future, and that's why we're using this part of the chart. Okay, so if your main verb is in the present or future, you're going to use a present subjunctive where we used to use an imperfect subjunctive, a perfect subjunctive where we used to use a pluperfect subjunctive. Okay, and one more thing, this part of the chart is the most useful part because result clauses, purpose clauses, they're only going to use this part of the chart, right? Because the action in a result clause or a purpose clause always happens the same time or future to the main verb. Only when we have cum clauses and indirect questions are we going to get to use the entire chart. Okay? And that's it